Hello students. So today we'll start with our next chapter of EST, that is Unit 2 Energy Resources. So in this chapter we are going to discuss about the energy, different forms of energy, different resources of energy, then causes and effects of depletion of all these resources and how we can conserve this energy. So our second chapter is energy resources. So we'll start about it. So we'll start with the definition of energy. So what is energy? So basically energy is defined as, or a physicist can define the energy as a capacity to do any work. As for doing any work we require the energy, so that is the energy. This energy is found on our planet in a variety of forms, so some of which are immediately useful to do work, while the others require some process of transformation, that is conversion from one energy form to the another energy form. Now among all these energies, the sun is the primary energy source in our life. So then after that, besides water, fossil fuel such as coal, petroleum products, then nuclear power plants are the other sources of energy. So we will discuss detail about the energy. So which are the sources of energy? So as we have already discussed, the sun is the primary energy source. That means whatever the energy is present on the earth, so all this energy is provided by the sun. Whatever the energy is generated, so the main what we can say, so the main resource for every energy is provided by the sun. So solar energy drives the following. So the global climate system, which gives as wind power. So wind power as provided by the sun. Then wave power, hydroelectric power, solar heating and solar lighting. The global ecosystems, which gives us biomass power such as wood or mussel. The ancient ecosystem whose energy is now stored as fossil fuels, as we all know how fossil fuel is generated. So it is the effect of ancient ecosystem. I think you people have already learned about it in environment in your school in 9th or 10th standard maybe. Then the moon's gravitational energy is responsible for the tidal effect, which give rise to the tidal power. And the next is the earth itself is the key source of energy. The earth provides us with the energy such as gravitational energy for the hydroelectric power, chemical energy for the nuclear power, electrochemical reaction and hydrogen fuel cells, and then geothermal power from the heat of the lower crust of the earth. So all these are the sources of energy. Now we will discuss in detail. So which are the natural resources of the energy? So there are various natural resources, that means the resources which are available naturally in the environment. So all these resources are known as the natural resources. So a natural resource, as by the definition, a natural resource may be defined as any material given to us by the nature which can be transformed in a way that it becomes more valuable and useful. For example, water provided by the nature, land provided by the nature, forest, then minerals, then wildlife. So everything is provided by the nature. So all these resources are known as the natural resources. So water resources, land resources, forest, minerals and wildlife. So all these resources are provided to us by the nature. So on the basis of continuity, these resources are classified as under. So the classification of these resources is as renewable resources and non-renewable resources. So we'll start with renewable resources. So what is renewable resources? So resources which can be renewed along with their exploitation are always available for use. So hence they are called as renewable resources. That means the resources which we can generate repeatedly. So these resources are known as the renewable resources. For example, trees, fresh water, oxygen. For example of trees, so we can plant as many as trees whenever we found that the amount of trees is less, so we can plant more trees and generate trees. Then fresh water, so for fresh water always from rain we get the fresh water, and the as by the tree plantation, as the amount of trees increases, the amount of oxygen is increases. So all these are resources which are available naturally, and these resources we can regenerate them, so they are known as the renewable resources. The next form of resources is a non-renewable resources. Non-renewable means we cannot regenerate those resources, or we cannot regenerate those resources as fast as possible. So start with the formation of some resources like iron ore, coal, mineral oil, that is for example fossil fuels. So etc. has taken several thousands of years to form. So formation of all these resources, that is fossil fuel, it requires thousands of years. So once they are used in unlimited way, they cannot be easily replaced. So we cannot easily replace it because they are not easily available. It requires thousands of years to regenerate all these resources. So thus their exploitation at large scale will result in their fast depletion. So that means ख़त्म हो जाएंगे वो रिसोर्सेज, बिकॉज हम लोग बहुत ज़्यादा क्वांटिटी में यूज़ करेंगे तो ऑलमोस्ट वो ख़त्म हो जाएंगे. So some such resources are called as non-renewable resources. For example, are fossil fuels and minerals. Then next is cyclic resources. So what is cyclic resources? So resources are categorized as renewable and non-renewable. But cyclic means for resources there is no final use as they can be used continuously. For example, water used in industry and domestic waste can be cleaned and used again for similar or the other purpose. So such resources are given the name as a cyclic resources. That means the resources which we can use repeatedly in many forms. So water which is coming from the industry or from the domestic household use, so we can reuse that water again. Maybe after some treatment on that water, we can again reuse that water. So such resources, example is water. So for example, any resource which we can reuse, so that all that resources are known as the cyclic resources. Then next we'll start with the types of the natural resources. Which are the types of natural resources? So as the picture describes, all these are the types of natural resources. That means resources which are naturally available. So first is forest resources. Forests are naturally available in the nature. Next, water resources, land resources, mineral resources and energy resources. So all these resources are naturally available in the environment. So now in this chapter, second chapter, we are basically going to discuss all these resources one by one, and the causes and the effects of depletion of that resources, as well as the impacts of effects of the depletion, as well as the solution for the efficient use of those resources, so that our next generation will also able to take the advantage of all these natural resources. So we have to use it efficiently. So we have to discuss about its causes and effects on the environment, its excessive uses, its excessive use, environmental effect of the excessive use of these resources, and solution to avoid that effects. So first we'll start with the forest resource. So what is forest basically? So a forest can be defined as a biotic community predominant of trees, shrubs, or any other woody vegetation, usually in a close canopy. So it is derived from a Latin word forest, means outside. So that is forest. So as we know, forest is nothing but the collection of various trees, various species of trees, various ecosystems, various species of animals are present in the forest. So we are going to discuss about the importance of these forest resources in our life. So what we can get from this forest resource, or how we can use that forest as a resource. So first one is the ecological balance. So forest provides the ecological balance. So as a ecological balance means forest and wildlife are essential to maintain the ecological balance of an area. So as we know, forest contains trees as well as various animals, various species of the animals, various species of the trees. So these are dependent on each other. Humans are dependent on the forest. So these forests are providing us with the ecological balance. Then ecosystem. So forest provides us with the ecosystem. As a forest contains trees, then various species of trees. In the different parts of the world, we will find various species of the trees. So all these is nothing but the different ecosystem which is provided by forest to us. Forest will provide us with the economic development. So as forest provides us with the various products like wood, then honey, various food products, various fruits, then various trees, various other products are provided by us. For example, various spices products which provides which we can import or export. So these are provided by the forest. So all these forest products provides us with the economic development. Then environment quality. So as forest contains trees which provides us with the oxygen, then reduce the amount of carbon dioxide in the environment. So that means forests are responsible to maintain the environment quality. Then soil conservation. So as the trees roots hold the soil, so soil conservation is provided by forest. Then wind erosion. Then for example in a desert land, so there is a wind energy, but due to that energy, excessive wind energy, the erosion is occur, and that is reduced by the trees. So forest provides that wind erosion. Then medicinal plants for traditional medicines. So forest provides us various medicinal plants Then it attracts the rainfall. So as trees are responsible for the water cycle, so it provides us with the attraction of rainfall. Then it controls the floods. Then supply of raw material, for example wood, for various industries, metals is provided by the forest. Then employment opportunities, so as the forest department provides with the various employment opportunity. Then fodder for cattle, so for cattle food is provided in the forest. Then foreign exchange honors, so as by the various forest products, by doing the business of import and export or from the forest products, so it will provide us with the foreign exchange, and it ultimately provides the revenue to the government. So forest provides us with all these resources. So that means forest resources are very much important, of very much importance in our lives. So we have to use it efficiently. Now next we'll going to see what happens if we overuse these resources. These are some of the products which are provided by the forest. So all the maybe medicinal products, spices, trees, wood, cotton, various fruits, bamboo, papers, various types of papers, then various business which raw material is coming from the forest, honey, mushrooms. So all these are the resources which or sorry, the products which we will get from the forest. Then next one is over exploitation of forest. That means if we over exploit the use of the forest resources. So why we over exploit this forest resources? So as man depends heavily on the forest for food, medicine, shelter, wood and fuel. Then with the increase in population and growing civilization, the demand for raw material like timber, pulp, minerals, fuel wood, etc., which results in large scale logging, mining, road building and clearing of forest. So our forest contributes substantially to the national economy. The international timber trade alone is worth over 40 billion US dollar per year. The devastating effect of deforestation in India includes soil, water and wind erosion. As we have already discussed the various effects of deforestation in our previous chapter. So all about these activities leads to the deforestation. As we use all these forest resources over explore or excessively, so for these purposes, so it leads to the deforestation. So now next we'll move towards what are the effects, what are the environmental effects of this overuse, or the same as the effects of the deforestation on the environment. We have already discussed in the previous chapter. So we can say it as a consequences of deforestation or the environmental effect of the excessive use of the forest resources. So it will create the food problem. As trees are not available, then we will not get the food. As it may be veg or non-veg. As veg is available by the trees and non-veg, so all the animals are available on the veg, that is on the trees. So if they are not getting food, so we are not getting to able the food. The next one is the ecological imbalance. So as the number of species reduce, or the number of trees and the number of animals get reduced, so it will create the ecological imbalance. It may be a number, or it may be some species got extinct. So it will create the ecological imbalance. Then as trees are not present, so amount of carbon dioxide is increases, as trees will not absorb the carbon dioxide in the environment and spread the oxygen. So amount of carbon dioxide in the environment will be increased. Then it will lead to the situation like flood, which will be due to soil erosion. As trees are not present, so roots of the trees are not able to hold the soil, so that's why the situation like flood occurs. Destruction of resources, various resources are destructed, which we will get from the forest. Then heavy siltation of dams, changes in the microclimate, so the area where the dams are present. So if that area is under deforestation area, then its various harmful effects will be on the climate and ultimately on the humans in that area. Then loss of biodiversity, so flood and the changes in the climate causes the various species to extinct, which causes the loss of biodiversity. Then desiccations of previously moist forest soil, so that is also not get available. Then environmental pollution, so all these ultimately responsible for the pollution of the environment, which ultimately causing global warming. So all these are the environmental effects of the excessive use of the forest resources. So next we'll see how we can conserve this forest. So how we can utilize that forest resources efficiently, because it is our responsibility to now take care of about our environment. So now what we can do for our environment, so what we can do to save our forest. So first one is the in forest conservation, first is restraining cutting of trees and submerging the forest. So we have to restrain the cutting of trees. We have to avoid the cutting of trees and submerging it into the forest area. Whatever the area near us available in the environment, so we have to take as many as tree plantation program, and we have to make sure that the various we have to take care that the area comes under the forest. Then reforestation, so reforestation means the area which is already deforested, means where the trees are already cut, which is forest area previously, so we have to plant the trees there, so that is reforestation. Then next one is afforestation. So afforestation means we want to plant the trees in the area where trees are not present previously. So as we can convert this free land into the forest area. Then next one is control forest diseases and forest fire. So we have to control the various forest diseases, that means various diseases which are present on the trees, so which causes that trees to or the trees to save the trees from the extinction by that diseases. And the forest fire, so we have to reduce the amount of forest fire, as the forest fire if the forest fire is occur, then it will cover the most of the forest area and it will disturb the various species in that area. So it will affect the various animals, various species, various birds in presence in that area. So we have to save them. So we have to avoid the forest fire. Then we have to recycle the forest products. So as we have already studied in the 4R concept, so whatever the products we are getting from the forest, for example paper, so we'll get it from the forest. So we have to recycle it and use it efficiently so that we can minimally use the forest products and we can save those forests. Then replacing the forest products. So we have to think about the ways which we can by the way we can replace the products from the forest. So these are the ways to save the forest. Then next one is the advantages of reforestation and afforestation. So by doing the reforestation or afforestation, what we can achieve or what are the advantages? So we can slow down the global warming as the amount of trees increases, so amount of carbon dioxide in the environment reduces, amount of oxygen increases, so it will slow down the global warming. Then trees reduce the risk for landslides as the root holds the soil. Then prevention of desertification. So various area is come under the forest, so desertification is avoided. Then natural habitat for many animals and other organisms is provided by the forest. Conservation area for endangered species, shade trees for convenience, leisure activities. We can found various activities from the forest. It can lead to a social cohesion. Then planting trees can be fun. So as we initialize with the tree plantation program, so it will provide us with the various activities. Then it is good to educate our kids. Then assurance of wood supply, employment opportunities. Planting trees can be a serious business. Then improvements in air quality. Forests are important to maintain the ecological balance. Forests can increase the overall quality of life for people. Then trees can help to store the rainwater and the ecotourism as a source of income. So all these are the advantage which is provided by the reforestation or the afforestation, or ultimately these are the advantages of the forest resources. The next resource is the water resource. So next natural resource is water. So water is an indispensable resource. So around, as we have already studied in our first chapter, as around 97% of world surface is covered with water, and most of the animals and plants have 60 to 65% water in their body. So what are the unique features of the water or the water resource? So it is having high specific heat, high latent heat of vaporization, good solvent for oxygen, nutrients and pollutants, anomalous expansion on freezing, high surface tension. So global distribution of water is very much random depending on the geographical condition. So the availability of water decreases in the following order. Tropical rainforest contains various water resources. Then after that, temperate regions, and then deserts which are having lack of water resource. Then water is used for domestic irrigation and also for the industrial purposes. So these are the main purposes where we are using the water resources. We are using it for domestic purpose, we are using it for irrigation, and we are using it for industrial purpose. So out of the total available water, 75% is used for the agriculture, that is irrigation, and the 20% is used for the industrial uses. And only 5% we are using it for the domestic purpose. So as you can see, these are nothing but the various resources where we can get the water resource. So streams, lake, rivers, spring, pond, well, various reservoir. So all these are the nothing but the resources from which we are getting the water resource. So next is dams. So what are the benefits and the problems which are causing by the dams? So dams are built across the river in order to store the water for drinking, agriculture purpose and industrial purpose. But nowadays there are mainly used for the hydropower production. So as we all already know that the dams are construction of dams is for this purpose, for the drinking, agriculture and industrial purpose. That is using for the hydropower production, as it will provide us with the water supply for drinking, irrigation for agriculture and power generation for the industrial purpose. So what are the benefits of the dams? So river valley projects with big dams play a key role in the development process due to their multiple uses. So these dams aim at providing employment for the tribal people and raising the standard and quality of life. So the people's whose area or whose land is covered under this dam construction, so these peoples are provided with the employment opportunities. Then dams can help in checking floods and generate electricity and reduce water and power shortage. It provides the irrigation water to lower areas. It provides drinking water in remote areas and promote navigation as well as fishery. So all these are nothing but the advantages of the dams. Now we'll see what are the problems related with these dams. So the impacts of big dams can be upstream as well as downstream levels. So what are the upstream problems due to the dams? So first one is the displacement of tribal people. So as their land is under the construction of dam, as we know various acres, various thousands or hundreds acres of area is required for the construction of dams. So the people who are already staying there have to shift from one place to the another. So the displacement of those tribal peoples, then loss of forest area, flora and fauna. So whatever the area which is under the forest is destructed due to construct the dams. Changes in the fisheries. So the available species are changed. Then loss of non-forest land. Then stagnation and waterlogging near reservoir. Then breeding vectors and spread of vector, that is borne diseases. Next, reservoir induced seismicity causing earthquake. That means it will construction of dam will causes the seismic activity, or to increase the probability of seismic activity to that land. Then microclimate changes. So the climate to that area will changes. growth of aquatic weeds. So all these are the upstream effects. Then what are the downstream problems include downstream problems due to the dams. So downstream problem includes water lagging and salinity due to over irrigation, microclimatic changes, reduced water flow and silt deposition in the river, salt water intrusion at river mouth, loss of land fertility, and outbreak of vector-borne disease like malaria. So all these are the downstream problems causes due to the dams. Then next one is the overutilization of groundwater. So overutilization of water leads to the rapid depletion of water resources. So that is ground subsidence, lowering of water table and waterlogging. So what are the reasons for this? So first one is the economic development. So rapid industrial growth and population explosion. So all these basically for any resource or for overutilization of any resource, basically only these three reasons are responsible, that is economic development, rapid industrial growth and population explosion. So the use of groundwater and surface water rates which are higher than that of recharge ultimately leads to water scarcity as it is not available to the next or to the next period or to the next generation. Then waterlogging, salination, alkalization of water, water pollution or the contamination of water. It creates the declining of water levels, crops failure and reduction in agricultural production. Overpumping of groundwater creates drought, famine and food shortages. Overpumping of groundwater, seawater intrusion in coastal aquifers. Then land subsidence made due to overpumping of groundwater. So all these are the effects of the overutilization of the groundwater. Then next, flood. So overflow of water, whenever the water inflow is greater than the carrying capacity of the channel, so flood occurs. So what are the causes of the flood, effects of the flood, and how we can manage the flood? So the causes of the flood, so heavy rainfall, snow melt, sudden release of water from dams, then prolonged downpour leading to overflowing of rivers and lakes, reduction in carrying capacity due to obstruction or sediments, etc. Then deforestation, overgrazing, mining increases the water runoff. Then removal of dense forest from hilly regions. So all these are the causes for the floods. Then what are the effects of this flood? So due to flood, submerges the flooded area, loss of soil fertility due to soil erosion, and the extinction of civilization at the coastal area. So as we all know about these effects. Then flood management. So what are the activities we have to take to manage the flood condition? So dams and reservoirs can be constructed. Then embankments and proper channel management. Floodway should not be encroached. Then forecasting of flood warning. Forecasting, that is flood forecasting or the flood warning. The degrees of runoff by infiltration through afforestation or rainwater harvesting, etc. So all these are the flood management activities. Then next is droughts. So unpredictable delay in climatic condition occurring due to the monsoon rain failure. That condition is the drought. So types of drought is meteorological. So in order of month of year, actual moisture supply at a given place consistently falls below critical level. Then hydrological floods, so deficiency in surface and subsurface water supplies. Agricultural drought, inadequate soil moisture to meet the need of a particular crop at a particular time, or susceptibility of crops during different stages in its development. And the socio-economic drought, so reduction in the availability of food and social securing of the people. So what are the causes of the drought? So first one is, as we already know, causes of the deforestation and the lesser rainfalls coupled with the cutting of trees for timber leads to the desertification. Overdrafting of groundwater, subsidence of soil, drying of wetlands, pollution of soil with solid waste, industrial effluents, etc. makes land useless and dry. Then population explosion in man and livestock leads to enhanced requirement of timber, fuel wood, and grazing and shifting cultivation. So all these are the causes of the drought. Then what are the effects of the drought? So effects include increase of water in stream pond, groundwater table gate decline, loss of agricultural crops due to unavailability of water, loss of biodiversity due to unavailability of forest or the unavailability of plants due to unavailability of water, and the government spent a lot of money as drought relief fund. So all these are the effects of the drought. So what are the control measures for the drought? What we can do to avoid this condition? So first one is the rainwater harvesting. So we can implement this activity, rainwater harvesting, at our home. Watershed management, we can prevent the deforestation and the encourage afforestation. So by taking these 4 activities, we can avoid the condition of drought to occur. Okay, next we will continue in the next lecture. So these are all about the forest resources and the water resources. So these two are the natural resources, forest and water. So in this lecture we have seen about the forest resources, water resources, which are the resources, which are the causes and effects of depletion of that resources, and how we can conserve these resources. So for next resources, that is energy, land and minerals, we'll continue with the next lecture. Thank you.